As we welcome you back to the Two Guys Named Chris show and say hello to Lisa Lanier, our official attorney. The segment is Lawyer Up. We look forward to it every week. Inside several legal cases. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I hope you guys are.
Doing well, thank you. Off the docket today, and you've made no secret of the fact that international law, not your strong suit.
Nope. Barely pass it.
She didn't sleep through the class, but she didn't pay attention either.
He played Battleship, if memory serves, during most of the
Correct.
class.
I got busted playing Battleship, which is even more lame.
Correct.
Than just, yep.
But do you have any thoughts on the former Prince Andrew now being arrested? Any inclination on how much time he might serve? We're hearing for the charges he literally could get life in prison, but it would seem rare to have that happen. What are your thoughts on that?
He absolutely could. It faces up to life in prison, and they have him sending basically trade secrets, secret documents, classified documents via email to Epstein. And, they've got the proof. They've got the emails. So it's a breach of Great Britain's Official Secrets Act, which is like an espionage act. And so he's in big trouble here. And they really are, they're just getting started. More charges are expected because they're really just now beginning to investigate the files and all that, appears in there. He will possibly face other charges. There's a part that they released of the Epstein files where a New York federal prosecutor in the investigative files calls him an accessory to the death of a young sex trafficking victim. So there's going to be a lot more fallout from this.
Goodness.
Do they still put prisoners in the Tower of London?
No, I don't think they do. And they actually they treat prisoners more humanely than a lot of countries. And so he was released pretty quickly, I think. But they made a statement that he'd be getting a warm bed and food and all those good things.
And your knowledge of this, could you see this happening to someone in the United States? Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, somebody else that's on the Epstein list. Could we do that here?
We probably could. Depends on. I don't know that there were trade secrets being passed like there were, in this case. But we don't in the United States. We're not really taking the same kind of view of this that they are in Europe. They're really taking a very hardline approach and prosecuting. And here's what's interesting is that he has a history, Prince Andrew or former Prince Andrew of he kind of talks a tough game until he gets busted, and then he sort of turns on everybody and sings like a bird and makes deals to give information. So that may be coming.
I know two people like that. Well, one still sits in front of me. One used to sit with us. The one who used to sit here was the master of it. I'm going to go into that meeting, and I'm going to lay down the law. I'm going to tell them this, I'm going to tell them that, and get to the meeting.
Yep.
Everything's good. I'm fine.
Anything to add?
No.
Nothing further.
No, that's fine. Now, we have two food-related stories. One has already been adjudicated. Buffalo Wild Wings was being sued, a class action lawsuit. The people claiming, the plaintiffs were saying, there is no wing meat in your boneless wings. It is breast meat, so essentially you're selling us chicken nuggets and calling them wings. I agree with the plaintiffs. It goes along with my Burger King advertising falsely with a good-looking sandwich on TV, but a sloppy
Wouldn't
sandwich.
introduce that.
I would say that. I've been shouted down every possible way on this. Buffalo Wild Wings, by the way, really crushed by this, is offering free boneless wings today to celebrate their victory. Of
course.
Obviously, they've taken this to heart.
Ask for the legal pissant special.
Lisa, they're crotch pointing all the way to the bank. I stand with the plaintiffs here. Did they ever have any kind of chance? I guess not.
No, there was actually, in the same week, there were two wings lawsuits that came down in favor of the wing maker. One was this Buffalo Wild Wings that is actually using breast meat, which, in my opinion, is a higher quality meat.
Yeah.
If you're going to form a fake, boneless wing, that's going to be a higher quality piece of food than if they stripped a bone out of a wing, because there's nothing left really, to form. So the other one was Wings on Brookwood, which is a smaller establishment. A customer there tried to bring a class action lawsuit because he found a 1.375-inch piece of bone in his boneless wing, and it was just a fragment. And So, he lost as well. So what we're seeing is that there was this trend for a long time in these class action consumer lawsuits where businesses were losing and, over the foot long that wasn't a foot long and the, like the Burger King, displaying this giant Whopper that was actually half the size. But now we're starting to see the pendulum kind of go in the other way. And the judge, even in the Buffalo Wild Wings, told the plaintiff that the lawsuit had no meat on its bones, and he laughed. And, yeah.
No,
yeah, he said that in court. So you're seeing that trend kind of go the other way. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think these lawsuits had gotten a little ridiculous about, like the Texas Pete lawsuit, that it was made in North Carolina, not Texas. Who gives a flip about that, right?
I do.
Your face right now. These are all the things you're passionate about.
I know Kelly's Mr. Pro Consumer.
Yes.
These stupid lawsuits.
You know what Biggie says when somebody complains about Arby's roast beef? What do you expect? It's Arby's.
Lisa. He went hard on the steak nuggets.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
What do you expect? It's Arby's. I want a decent product like you advertise a decent product. One more lawsuit for you, filed against Rachel's North Men's Club and Steakhouse. This is following the death of a man named Rajiv Nai. He lost consciousness at this strip club. But according to his family, employees allegedly did not call 911, provide first aid, and were not properly trained in how to do first aid when he had a health issue at the men's club. They instead put him in a cab on the way home or an Uber on the way home. He stopped breathing and died. Now they're suing the strip club. What do you think, Lisa? Should these strippers be trained in CPR? What do you think?
No, they don't have to be trained in CPR, but what this turns on is in Florida, there is no duty to personally render first aid, like CPR, any of that sort of thing, but you are supposed to, it's considered negligent for a business not to call 911 if they see that someone has stopped breathing. They don't have to intervene to give the first aid, but it is considered negligent if they don't call 911. And what they did with Grandpa here is they poured him into a taxi cab and sent him home, and he died. And the interesting thing about this is that this is the second time he has fallen out in the same strip club, different location.
Bruh.
There's a Rachel's by the airport, and he fell out, became unconscious, had a medical emergency, and that Rachel's called 911, and he was taken to the hospital. He was hospitalized. So I think the interesting thing is, was he comparatively negligent because he knew going in there and seeing that naked booty was going to make him fall out.
Okay, that's possible. Well, the message I get here is if you're in a strip club in Florida, go to Rachel's Airport, not Rachel's North.
Yes.
They're not going to call 911.
They'll just put you in a cab and give him, and they obviously looked up his address because they told the cab where to go.
It's less trouble just to call 911. I guess they didn't want an ambulance out in their parking lot.
He's not breathing,
Yeah.
right? And they put him in a cab.
Man, I feel like they
So
should
when they're
be.
dressed up as nurses, they're not
No, they're not. No.
really
They're
nurses.
not real nurses.
They did no CPR for him, that's for sure. Didn't even call for him.